Carved by Hate by Nathan Orchard. One of the most powerful weapons we possess in life is our mouth. Slurs do a lot more damage to someone than physical pain ever can. Someone's mental state cannot be fixed with a simple band-aid. Language is a power that we use too freely to inflict our own thoughts and prejudice on others. How can a simple word hold so much power? How can a simple word cripple someone's mental state into a place that they degrade and repress themselves? How can a simple word blind us into feeling like the whole world is out to target us? These are questions that my community asks themselves daily. These questions are something I want to address using my work. They inspire me to create something that embodies the emotions of personal trauma over the years. This work is a tool for education. As Nelson Mandela once said, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Over the course of this project, my work has changed drastically. It started off being a simple idea in which I produced rather hastily, without much thought into visual imagery. Here you'll see my first attempts at tackling the idea of how much power a slur can have. As you can see, it was all done in one shoot with no difference in clothing, poses or emotions. There was nothing to invite the viewer to look further into the image, to seek a deeper meaning. History is made and preserved by and for particular classes of people. A camera in some hands can preserve an alternative history. The LGBTQIA+ community has always been misjudged and plagued by a lack of accurate media representation. The AIDS crisis in the 80s would be an example of this. A powerful stigma which was changed overnight thanks to a photo of Princess Diana shaking a patient's hand. It shows just how influential photography can be in breaking misconceptions and societal norms. With a more informed approach, I've created these dynamic and impactful images. You'll notice all these illustrations showcase a slur that targets the LGBTQIA+ community in an attempt to dehumanize us. They are used to ostracize us and force us into the stereotypes that society has boxed us into. By branding these words onto my skin, I am forcing the viewer to face a harsh and brutal reality, one that they may not even realize they are causing. Making the viewer feel a sense of discomfort is a tool that I've gained from research into artists such as Andy Warhol and David Wojnarowicz. Warhol created films that highlighted queer culture. Blowjob was one of these films Warhol directed. It's a single 35-minute shot of a man's face to capture his facial expressions as he receives the sexual act depicted in the title. Warhol slowed the film down by a third to further the viewer's embarrassment. Warhol and Wojnarowicz challenged the norms, going against the grain. Are you comfortable looking at these images of obvious sexual acts in a crowded room? Do you fear judgment if you pause for a long time before an image of sexual expression? Wojnarowicz has a series of images he titled Sex Series in the Shadows of Forward Motion. This series was designed to make the viewer uncomfortable. In some sense, it was a social experiment. A telescopic or binocular focal point is being put on something that society deems as wrong. The artist is combining his anger of being silenced about his community by comparing it to something of importance and relevance. To society at the time, this being war, the viewer is somewhat forced to look at a scene that society would deem as abhorrent and maybe feel shame for it. This is something my work might also encourage. Catherine Opie's work is a fundamental influence within my own practice, choosing to show a reality that society doesn't want to admit exists. Cutting is a self-portrait, a child's drawing of a house and a family with a slight difference. Stepping away from heteronormative perspectives, it is two women. Similar to Warhol and Wojnarowicz, Opie is shining a light onto queer identity. It also challenges people to understand the power of their actions. It was always important to me that my images be self-portraits. I am working with my own personal trauma. Producing this work is my therapy. I am processing what has happened, turning a negative into a positive, informative tool. The pain inflicted by slurs is universal. However, I can only address my pain as a gay, cis white man. It is not my place to speak for other people within the community, as at the end of the day, I do have my own privileges within society. My work relies on visual language. Poses reflect on a mixture of emotions, symbolising the cycle of how a slur can make you feel. Loneliness to ownership is one of these cycles. The darkness that surrounds my images represents the isolation a slur can make you feel. Colour theory has played a crucial role in the development of my work. Blues can represent depression, pinks represents innocence, yellow hope, and black unknowing. When exhibiting my work, I chose to showcase 4 sets of 2 images. One image illustrates beauty contrasting with the brutality of a branded slur. This was a creative choice. Someone's mental state can be camouflaged, hidden from prying eyes. The damage done by homophobia masked by a sense of performance. The second image is a reality the community faces, the fear of judgment looming over us. Everyone can see that you are different, that you don't fit into society's expectations of you. The slur marking you for all to witness. It's easier to assume everyone is against you. You may notice that the branded imagery is hidden behind frames I've created. The black frames and string emphasise the loneliness and unknowing. The second layer of string, being purple, representing negativity and toxicity, with a glimpse of yellow representing a sense of optimism through all the dark times. The images themselves are hidden behind these strings. It is only with the help of my audience that these images can come to light. The cutting of the string represents 2 things depending on who's taking part. To the people who are not part of the LGBTQI+ community, it is an educational tool, showing that it is their prejudice and misjudgment that fuels the fires of hate. Being up close and personal with the imagery, they are forced to address their own feelings about the words, maybe even reflecting on times that they have used them. For any members of the community, it is a chance to reclaim these words and feel the power that I have felt creating the images. Making sure this work has been ethical and just has always been an aim of mine. I've always ensured that I'm respectful within my practice while also staying authentic while producing this project, which has been important in ensuring its credibility. Some quick responses from a target group I asked about my work prove this is true, that the meaning of my work is not lost but in fact highlighted. This work is a plea to people outside the LGBTQI+ community. Think before you speak and hold the people around you accountable for the hurtful words that they spew.
Thanks for listening. Check out socials and the websites for more.